Welcome back. After a lengthy hiatus, much like the gentleman on my hat, we are back on Instigating with Clarkey and Drury. I am Oasis regalia'd out here, and for good reason. We'll touch on that later. We must. But this is a sports show, and in this country right now, the number one thing to talk about are your Toronto Blue Jays. I'm Ryan Drury. I'm pleased to be back here with my good buddy, Chris Clark. That's Clarkey, and we are very pleased. Who else would we have on this show? Fans of the show know that when we want to talk about the Blue Jays, or really ball in general, we want to talk to our friend Rob Longley of The Sun. And Rob, the Blue Jays, I know that as we record this, are in the midst of a rubber match battle with the Minnesota Twins. But before we hit record, Christopher Clark asked you a question about, isn't this season just as we predicted the Jays would be terrible? Boy, have they ever exceeded expectations.
Yeah, they have in a lot of ways, and I guess the fear, if you're a hardcore Blue Jays fan right now, is the version that we've gotten over the last month. Is that what this team really is? Because this just in their last 28 games, they're 14 and 14. That's 500 baseball. That's barely competing baseball. That's a team that would be all in to make it into the playoffs, and that's certainly not the team that we saw for the first 4 or 5 months of the season. And, really, they've hit their first crisis point of 2025. And to me, it's going to be fascinating to see what unravels from here, whether they get it together. A lot of guys that are unproven in September and October baseball, or whether it continues to spin out of control a little bit.
So where do you pinpoint, Rob, this little downward trend to? Is it strictly bullpen?
It's to me, it's almost entirely bullpen. I mean,
Mhm.
that's where everything seems to fall apart. I mean, I know everyone wants to overreact with one game like last night when Jeff Hoffman gave up a pair of home runs. It was as ugly as it gets. It's the most awful way to lose a baseball game, and they really stank. But this has been coming on for weeks right now, and Jeff Hoffman is far from their biggest problem in the bullpen. And to anybody who's asked me over the last 3 or 4 weeks, I've posed a question right back to them. It's like, what is this team going to do in innings 6, 7, and 8? Because in the playoffs, in Major League Baseball playoffs anymore, starting pitchers are only allowed to go 5 innings. It's almost like there's a rule in the rule book now. Every general manager, every manager in baseball
Mhm.
doesn't allow their starter to go past 5 innings in the playoffs. So who is this team going to hand the baseball to for innings 6, 7, and 8? I've maintained that Jeff Hoffman is far from their biggest problem. It's who's going to get those interim outs between starter and closer. And it's a very big crisis point for this team right now. I mean, there's a lot of explanations for it. I mean, you could start with talent. Did they do enough at the trade deadline to fix the situation? You can look back to earlier in the season when many of the key arms in that bullpen were overused. I'm talking about Jimmy Garcia, especially an arm that they could very, very much use right now and is likely going to be done for elbow surgery, or it's certainly headed in that direction. And they just don't have the arms and the firepower to do it right now. And it seems like they're operating on fumes to a large degree.
So, and you touched on this, Rob. That begs the question, why didn't they do more at the deadline to add some firepower to a bullpen that everybody already was saying, hey, I don't know that this screams contending bullpen to me? And, you're right. Yes, Hoffman, does he have some issues at times? Yes. He, on the whole, has been a very effective weapon for the Jays outside of some glaring hiccups. And I would agree with you. The rest of the bullpen is a serious problem. And it begs that question, why didn't they do this? And this is consistent of Ross Atkins's trade deadlines with the Blue Jays. They'll make kind of one solid move that you go, that's a pretty good deal. And this year it looks like that's Shane Bieber, and his first start screamed positivity. But then you look at the other areas where they really needed help, and the bullpen's one of them. And you look at the other contenders, not only in the American League, but in the National League as well. And I would venture to say that the Blue Jays have by far the worst bullpen. I don't even know who among those other contending teams is close. Why didn't they do more? Why didn't they add somebody?
Well, I think Ross Atkins would tell you that he thought that he did. He thought that acquiring Sir Anthony Dominguez would be a piece, and I think the Blue Jays really believed that Louis Varland was going to be a guy that was sort of this sleeper trade acquisition that would really be a fixture in that bullpen in leverage situations, and it was to the point where it seemed like many people around the Jays, especially fans, were saying, "Oh, we really hoodwinked the Twins here. How did they let this guy get away with for so little with so much control left? Like it's amazing that you can get a player of this quality anymore at the trade deadline for not that much." Well, this just did. Are the guys running the Twins all rubes? Do you think that maybe they had an idea of what Louis Varland actually was? I mean, he's a guy who does have good stuff. He can throw for velocity and he can do certain things, but he hasn't established himself as a high leverage reliever to any degree of consistency in his career. And here in his first month as a Blue Jay, we're seeing just that. He's had a couple of reasonable outings, and then he's had a couple that have been terrible. So if Ross Atkins thought that addressing the bullpen issues was going to be solved by Sir Anthony Dominguez and Louis Varland, it sounds like perhaps he outsmarted himself.
I firmly believe that there's going to be some internal improvements there and they'll be fine. But
Well, collaboration will be involved too, Clarkey.
true.
It's all about the process, Clarkey.
Exactly. They'll be fine. Just trust these guys. They're proving us wrong. But with six starters, they got to take two guys out in the playoffs, right? And they're your 6, 7 inning guys, aren't they?
Yes and no. But you do have to take two stars. It's going to be a four-man rotation
Yeah.
tops when it comes to the playoffs for sure. Behind me as we speak here Thursday night or Wednesday night rather. No, yeah, Wednesday night. It's Wednesday.
Wednesday, yeah.
Yes, it would appear that Eric Lauer is sort of showing what perhaps that he has. He's given up 3 solo home runs and is having some struggles. Now he hasn't pitched in 9 days, so maybe there's a bit of an excuse. But to your point, Clark, yeah, it's going to be a four-man group, and right now it's going to be Max Scherzer, Shane Bieber, and Kevin Gausman with essentially a 5-week tryout for who the fourth guy is going to be. But as you're making those decisions, you have to do what you're suggesting and find out which of those guys best fit, which of those guys who aren't going to be in the rotation best fit in the rotation in the bullpen rather that can give you a
Yeah.
bit of leverage. Guys that you can maybe bring in the sixth or the seventh inning to do something to get you out of a situation. Now the problem with that is other than Eric Lauer, all of those guys don't have any experience in or any recent experience anyway in bullpen situations like that. So how do you transition over the final month of the season or what will probably be the final few weeks of the season for guys who are used to, basically having the starters routine ingrained in them to changing it up and being relievers? That's I mean, I'm pretty sure as the Blue Jays try to figure this out, they're gonna look at which guys they feel maybe best equipped to do that. But you would hope, given the situation, given the lack of reliable arms back there, that one of these guys could step up into that situation. Maybe it's Chris Bassett because he's got those 6 or 7 different pitches that can really keep hitters off guard. I don't know if it's Jose Berrios. I mean, he screams to me as being pure starter, and he's quite frankly he's struggled this season.
Yeah.
Maybe it's Lauer. So, but yeah, you hope you get some help that way.
Is it not a bit of a problem that you're not throwing Barrios's name out in that immediate group of presumed starters? And I agree with the 3 guys that you tossed out there. And I mean, that situation, when you break it down, it really does kind of consummate what this season has been. A lot of low expectations that have resulted in great performances, or in the very least performances that you didn't see coming on the positive, mixed with a bunch of underachievers, and Barrios would be one of those, that leave a lot of doubt as we near the playoff push. And Max Scherzer would be at the front of that. Like, they signed this guy, his thumb is sore, he can't pitch, he's got hand issues. The last month, like all the starts he's played in, he's been really unbelievable. Like, he's turned the clock back. It's incredible. And you look at Gausman, solid season, just straight up solid Kevin Gausman numbers. And Bieber, that first start was just absolutely electric. And I mean, if that's the type of Bieber we're getting, that old Bieber relieved and revived, really, that is nothing shy of positive. And a guy who's got long postseason run experience too can maybe calm some of these guys down. But when you look at Berrios in particular, like, is it not kind of a troubling thing that he isn't an immediate name that you're throwing out there?
Yeah, it probably is, Ryan. I mean, it's probably one of the undertold stories of the season. When the best thing basically that you can say about Jose Berrios so far is that he continues to give the team a lot of innings, but even that comes with a caveat because he's not going as deep into games as he used to. He's making all of his starts, but he's definitely not the Jose Berrios that we've seen in the past number of seasons. I think if he was being honest, he'd be the first to admit it. And he kind of alluded to it. I think it was two starts back when he said he basically said that hitters seem to have an edge on me right now, and that's a way of admitting failure, and it's not like he's fallen completely off the planet, but this was a guy that he earned the game one. So he started the season. He was their opening day starter this year, so there were fairly high expectations for him. And if we rewind the clock 2 years, he was the guy, right, for that ill-fated playoff game that we're not supposed to talk about anymore in Minnesota. I mean, he was the guy, and he was pitching as good as he's ever pitched in his life before they gave him the hook after three innings and change. That we're not supposed to talk about that because we're supposed to wipe that from our memory cards. But yeah, I mean, obviously they had big expectations for Berrios to be kind of that guy. Like he's never screamed ace to me, but he's really screamed Mr. Reliable to me, and he has been far from reliable this year. And we talk about all the home runs that the Blue Jays have given up. 3 tonight. I think it's like 112 or something on the season, tied for third most in baseball. Well, Jose Berrios, I mean, if you're a wagering man, you'd be if you were a wagering man and you bet on home runs allowed by Jose Berrios each game that he's played, you'd probably be doing quite well because it seems like most games he allows at least one. He has trouble, like many of the Blue Jays pitchers, keeping the ball in the ballpark.
And are they going to live and die with Hoffman as the closer? Is there any other option?
They have no
There is
choice.
no other option. Oh,
Right.
wait a minute. There's another Ryan. They signed Ryan Baracki to a minor league contract just in time.
What about Trevor Bauer? Can we sign him right now?
No.
There is no other option, really. I mean, people thought that maybe Yariel Rodriguez could be, and he's shown some signs, but his velocity is down like to 92 right now. Sir Anthony Dominguez, like he's kind of got closer stuff, but he's way too wild. Like he makes Jeff Hoffman look like the guy who's in control all the time. So no, that's the problem. They don't have anybody. As we talk today, they don't have anybody that they can put in there, and you don't give him a rest because we saw what happened last time. He didn't pitch for 7 days. He got blown up against the Dodgers. So I think you just got to keep throwing him out there and hope that he doesn't throw meatballs up the middle of the plate like he did twice last night. That's basically how John Schneider described it up in his post-game press conference. He said, when he was asked what happened, he says, "Well, he left 2 fastballs in the middle of the plate. That's what happens."
Yeah.
Yeah, it's strange. And yeah, you're right. Like Dominguez, like he's a guy that you look when his pitches are under control. Yeah, he throws 98, sometimes 99. Like he's got that type of velo that you like in closer material, but his control metrics are all over the place. Like you just do not know what you're getting from that guy pitch to pitch. Kind of a problem when you're talking about a key role like a closer in a 1 or 2 run game in a playoff situation, let alone a regular season game. And the Jays, as we record this now, officially have the second most home runs given up by starting pitchers this year. Only I almost said Oakland, Sacramento Athletics. Only they have more.
Your boys,
Just
your boys,
the
Brian.
the
Your boys.
No, not my boys.
The Athletics.
Yeah, the Sacramento Athletic. The Sacramento.
No, it's not Sacramento. It's the
I know.
Athletics.
Well, but
the
they are
Athletic.
though. They are though. They're the Sacramento
No, they're the
maybe
Athletics
going to
playing in
Vegas
Sacramento.
Athletics. However you want to paint it, there, Mr. Fisher. Whatever you say, brother. Are you paid? Like, or what happened? Like, have you been on the phone with John
No, I'm
Fisher
just
all
saying.
summer? Like,
Just
tell
saying.
that guy to shut up. All right. On that note, though, because I know what some people are doing out there. They're going, What are you
Uh-oh.
guys doing? You've been off for a little while. You're coming back. You're talking about a team leading their division, and you're being nothing but negative. I understand. So let's talk about some of the positives here. And a lot of it boils down to another seesaw season from Vladdy Jr., where last year he was the crux of any of the team's success through a majority of the season, cooled off a bit in the fall. This year it's been the opposite. He's leading the league in most batting metrics post All-Star break after a somewhat slow start. Now he's slugging the ball like an absolute fiend. What, if anything, in your opinion, Rob, has, contributed to this extreme turnaround in batting metrics by Vladdy?
Sorry, boys, I got to run. I don't do positive. So if you got
Okay,
something
well, we
negative you want to
understand.
talk about, we'll do that. But otherwise, I got to run. No, no. Well, why has he turned it around? That's a good question. Like John Schneider all season long would like almost every day would say he's this close. We can feel it coming around, and I guess it's he's such a precision hitter in a lot of ways. It's like the golf swing. You get something a little bit off, and you're hitting the ball all over the place, or you're just missing fairways, or whatever it is, and all of a sudden something clicked with him. Um, he's been able to get the ball in the air a little bit more. I know that. I mean, he has been hitting the ball hard all season, and that's certainly one of the metrics, the hitting metrics that he's led the league in for basically throughout his career. But once he started to hit for a little bit of power and get a the auto home run, he seemed to it sort of opened the floodgates for him a little bit. I think that maybe if there was a turning point, it was in Los Angeles when he hit a key home run and that sparked one of the comebacks there. That was a big moment for him, and he's had a couple other ones. And they're going to need more from him that way because. When you pay that guy all that money, I mean, yes, you pay him to hit more home runs. Yes, you pay him to be a productive hitter in all areas. But what you really pay him for is to be that guy in big moments. And I think there may have been some conversations around the team for Vlad just to sort of persevere because he was getting a little bit frustrated with how things were going. And once he sort of calmed down and got back on track, it was important because I think there was, the message has been made clear to him that we are going to need you in September. We're going to need you to be peaking at the end of September and to be the modern day version of one of the greatest hitters of all time. He's got to be the next he's got to be Canada's Mr. October, right? That's what you're paying him the money for. So the signs are encouraging to this point over the last month anyway. And if he can continue to build on that and stay healthy, maybe he will be that key contributor because they are definitely going to need him if they're going to have any kind of run in the postseason.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we look at other key positives here, and I know Clarkey's sighing at this because
I'm
he's never
sighing
been a
because I'm
believer.
watching the game over Rob's shoulder,
Yeah, I
and
know.
they've just made two horrendous errors.
Yeah.
I don't know what the score is right now. I
I have
can't.
three twins now. I'm glad I'm missing this.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
should
So
be.
now I'm
it's
Mr. Positivity.
yeah,
Thanks to you
exactly.
guys.
But
And
they're
and
throwing
it,
the ball. They just made two errors that led to at least one run. I'm not sure
which
how many
which
more.
to be fair, on the positive slant again at the behest of Clarkey, they've not done a lot of this year. And on that note, I want to touch on a guy that's been criticized a lot for errors that he's made in a critical position that has really bounced back and had a great season at the plate. Yes, his fielding is never, I don't think it's ever going to be perfect. I do not think this guy will ever win a gold glove. But Bo Bichette, like you look at the turnaround and the incredible numbers that he has and the consistency that he has found again at the plate. Yeah, would you like to see more power? Sure. But just pure hitting. This guy's been a rock star this year. And it begs the question as he approaches true free agency. Will he, in your opinion, be a Toronto Blue Jay next year and beyond? And if he is, what kind of numbers are we looking at for this guy?
I get this out. I get asked this so much, Ryan, and it's like we have no way of knowing. What we do know, or what we can almost be certain of, is that he's going to listen to 30 teams, or however many of the 30 teams are interested in making him offers. And to your point, if he continues to hit like he's hitting right now, and does have some success in the playoffs, then that number's going to be pretty high. It's going to probably be north of 300 million for 12, 14, 15 years or whatever it is. So then it becomes an issue of can the Jays afford to, or do they feel they can afford to pay that kind of a money for a guy that may not be elite shortstop? But I think his defense is he gets a bit of a bad knock for his defense. I think it's slightly better than average, and he's very athletic there, and he continues to improve defensively. So I think if you had to, you could move him to second base at some point if you got him into a long-term deal. But as this team goes, and as we're seeing this year, like he doesn't get a whole lot of talk about how important he's been to this team because justifiably George Springer is getting so much of it, and just justifiably Mr. Everyman, like whoever it is each night is contributing, and that's what a good team does. They have all kinds of contributors, but Bo Bichette near the top of the order is elite Bo Bichette again, the guy who led the American League in hits twice already in his career and has a good shot at doing it again this season. I mean, he's rattling off four hit nights as if they're nothing, right? And he's hitting for a little bit of power, but he hits that ball all over the field. Like he finds holes, and not by accident. That's how elite of a hitter he is, how precise a hitter he is. He can find ways to spray that baseball and find spots and just continue to get on base and in key situations drive in runs. So it's always going to be a back burner story with this team is Bo Bichette lurking in the shadows in terms of his future. It won't be addressed until the offseason. And maybe if you're a Blue Jays fan, maybe one of the things that you can cling to hope-wise would be should they have a sustained run in the postseason, and by that I mean at least get to the ALCS, maybe that high of being a playoff success on a team that he's been with all his career, alongside Vladdy, a guy that he said he's always want. Both have said they always want to finish their careers together. Maybe if they have some postseason success, maybe that gives the Blue Jays a bit of an upper hand when it comes time to have what figure to be wild negotiations this offseason.
Davis Schneider just jacked one. He's a big man, isn't he?
Just
Like
second of the game.
is it? Well, there you
Wow.
go. Like
Okay.
he just ripped one out, and it was a no doubter. That guy is jacked.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
he is so big upper body. It's
he is. Like
incredible.
he's not quite like Addison Barger, although
Hmm.
Addison Barger wears the size. He's a medium and he wears the size small, right? But
Sort of like
there's a
Ryan.
term for that. I forget what it is, but Schneider, yeah, he's pretty muscular up top, and
Yeah.
but it's compact, right? There's not much to him. Like he's a pretty
Hmm.
short guy, and
Hmm.
but he gets everything out of his swing, and he
Yeah.
can hit for power for a guy who's not that big. And
Yeah.
he's a guy that you would have thought when guys were coming back like Varsho from the injured list that maybe he'd be the odd man out, but he's essentially made himself indispensable. He's been that good and consistent, which has been, you know, since he that magical call up 2 years ago. The thing that was always his Achilles was maintaining some sort of consistency. But he's hitting more consistently now than he ever has in his career, and perhaps more importantly for the Blue Jays, because he's not an everyday guy. He's able to do it off the bench, or he's able to do it when he's in the lineup two days a week, and
Hmm.
those kinds of guys are invaluable, especially come playoff time when you're looking for a key hit in a key situation.
They just tied it. Another homer.
That's
Wow.
unreal.
They're on fire with the home runs.
How about that?
Let's talk about a guy who had 2 home runs last night. Has this year for George Springer at the plate
Oh my
come out of
God.
nowhere? Like it's unbelievable.
It really has. I mean, I mean, obviously last year we were all ready to write him off and figured like maybe they wouldn't be
Hmm.
DFAing the guy, but how could you make him an everyday player?
Yeah.
And even in spring training, like he was terrible in spring training. And I've since talked to him and talked to others about spring training, and as the story goes, and I guess we believe it now because the results are backing it up. In spring training, he wasn't really worried. Like he was, we use the jargon all the time, but the process, he was changing things about it in his swing. He was changing things in his approach, and he was working through it in spring training because that was the time to work through it.
Mm.
With the confidence, because he's had success in his career, with the confidence that if he stuck with it, and once those changes took, that he could be back to being a productive hitter. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
it'd be interesting to see if he really felt, if he was being honest and really felt that he could be an elite hitter again,
Mm-hmm.
because he's hitting career highs in everything almost. Like he's got 24 home runs. The most he's got with the Blue Jay in his Blue Jays career is 25.
Mm.
Right? He's back to hitting like he was back in 2017 and 2018 with the Astros when he was, made him such an attractive free agent. So
Mm-hmm.
no, nobody expected this kind of thing from him. I think that the Blue Jays management and coaching staff were quietly hopeful that he could be a contributor, but that was almost like the ceiling for
So
2025.
no major internal improvement they were hoping from this. Well,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
hoping, but they
right.
d't expect that
They
internal
didn't, they
improvement.
wouldn't, if they're being honest, there's no way they
Yeah,
expected
no,
this.
exactly.
But a
Yeah.
guy who's been there, done that, suddenly has a little bit of success again. And for the first time in George's career last year, quite frankly, he'd lost confidence. Like he was,
Mhm.
and that made him lost at the plate. So you bring back some of that confidence to a guy who's been a World Series MVP and won a World Series and was brought here to help this team have playoff success. All of a sudden, you know, he gets puffed up and believes he can do it again. And all of a sudden he becomes a legitimate leader in that clubhouse. It's one thing to be a guy who's had experience and, a voice as a leader. But if you're not having success, if you're not backing it up with your play on the field, then it really doesn't, the voice is kind of muted. And I think George has become a big influence, perhaps more than he has at any point in his Blue Jays career, with that team, with those young players. They look up to him and see the stuff that he's doing, night in and night out. Like he's like I think it was last night, after his 2 home runs, he ended the night batting 301, like on the season, which
Mm.
is by far I think his career high before that is like 292, which is obviously still pretty good. And yeah, there's still a month of the season to go, but we're pretty deep into it
Yeah.
for him to be a 300 hitter. That's
Yeah.
pretty darn impressive considering last year, it felt like he was barely a 200 hitter for much of the season.
Is he the team MVP right now?
So my boy Steve Simmons wrote a column
Oh,
yesterday about who is it, and I argued with him sitting beside him in the press box. I said, "Well, there actually is an MVP. Now you can say all you want that it's everybody, and that's what John Schneider's answer was. It's this one night it's this guy, one night it's that guy, but it's been George Springer.
hmm
I think for all kinds of reasons. They didn't do enough offensively, acquisition wise, offensively in the offseason, other than Anthony Santander, who of course hasn't been part of the team. So
Yeah.
they desperately needed a big bat to step up. And they've
hmm
had some from Varsho. They've had some from Barger, obviously.
Yeah.
But the really, really, really big, impressive bat, the guy who leads the team in home runs with 24, like I said, he's got three more than Vladdy. It's been George Springer. So he is, no, maybe it's a tight race, but he is the MVP.
hmm
Yeah, and then you look at another guy like Varsho, you bring up, incredibly positive story, health issues aside. I mean, I believe he's sitting third in at bats per home run. He hits a home run every 10.4 at bats. I mean, when he's been in the lineup, he is slaughtering baseballs. And then you look at another guy and another bounce back. You talk about Springer, and it's amazing watching him. He's such a fun ball player to watch when he's feeling it. He brings that excitement. He's great in the field still, and he's clearly an inspirational leader. Captain Kirk, Alejandro Kirk, solid catcher, great defender, reliable hitter, base stealer. Rob,
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about Kirk and what he's been able to do too. It's just been a cacophony of positive stories. Yeah, there's going to be some road bumps along the road here, but compared to what we were feeling in March, and I feel like us and other people who had a pessimistic view of this team and this roster were right in feeling so. We can only go on what we've seen, and what we saw last year was frankly a disaster. From what we were feeling in March, what we were all dreading in March, to be sitting where we are now, where as we record this, and who knows, they've tied it up here against Minnesota. They could be en route to their 78th win. But as we record this right now, 77 wins. They're 4 games up on the second place Red Sox. They're a game out of being tied for most wins in the American League. The Detroit Tigers have 78 as we record. Overall, and I know we like to come on here and rail on these guys, it really is incredible where we're sitting today, Rob.
Yeah, it is. over under in Vegas before the season for Blue Jays wins was 76.5. So you'd be cashing your ticket already, and we're still got a couple days left
Mm.
in August. So certainly that's pretty impressive. We've talked about this is still a team with flaws, but this just in it.
Yes.
Every team in the American League has flaws.
Do
And
they
that's why
ever?
this team still has a chance to continue, and they've got to fix some stuff up with the bullpen. There's no doubt about that. However, they still have a chance to make some noise in October because of what the American League is right now. But you have to give them a fair bit of credit, because they when you have a 74 win season and there's basically turmoil all around, and you turn it around this quickly, it is pretty impressive. And it's you mentioned Kirk, he's another great story on this team. And I hope that they burned the archives of this show because we have gone on, the three of us, about how could they let Gabriel Marino go? What's the worst trade? Ross
Who?
Atkins has to go. How could you put your future in a pudgy little catcher named Alejandro Kirk? And you let Danny Jansen go too. Yeah, I guess maybe Ross Atkins and those guys, they saw something in him. And you talk to anybody around the team, and especially the pitchers, they love him, right? They love the way
Yeah.
he frames. Obviously, that's one of his calling cards, but they really love the way that he interacts, the way he manages games with them. And now all of a sudden, he's got. I mean, he's always had the potential for some offense, but he's reliable at the plate. Like he's hitting a lot of key hits for production wise for catchers in Major League Baseball. He's right up there in terms of what he's been able to do. He's contributing that way, and he's been money behind the plate. His arm strength is much better. Now, one of the keys with him was, and the Jays have been trying. They can't make guys. They can't force guys to live in Florida in the off season if they don't want to. Like he goes back to Tijuana usually. But this past winter, they got him into Florida early. It was either December or January, so he was there for a couple of extra months, and he really worked on his throwing. And that was maybe a little bit of a weakness in his game previously. Now he's elite at that way in terms of throwing out runners at second base. He catches guys all the time. And while he was down there working at their facilities, he also worked on his hitting, and it really set him up strong for a good start at spring training. Because if you guys have never been to spring training, you don't understand how like the busiest guy on the grounds is the catcher because he has to do everything, right? He has to learn every pitcher. He catches every pitch. He's probably catching 15 to 20 pitchers because you don't know who you're going to see during the regular season. You have to get familiarity with them in spring training. Then you got to do all your defensive work. Then you got to do your hitting work. Then you got to catch in games because every starter wants Kirky behind the plate during those spring training games. So, I mean, if you don't come to spring training prepared and ready to handle all that, you're behind the eight ball to start with. This season, he was in Florida 2 months early, got a good foundation in, had an excellent spring training, and he's never looked back.
Which of the
Yeah.
following is most likely to happen if history repeats itself? A, 1987. They lose the last 7 games. They blow the lead. Now it's a little different now with a wild card. However, 1987.
Yeah.
B, Shapiro and Atkins streak continues. They don't win a playoff game. Or C, 92-93 repeats itself.
Oh, there's got to be something in between.
No, you have
Doesn't
to
it?
pick
No?
one of those three.
One of those three.
Most likely to happen.
Those
Harsh
are
but
like
fair.
three. I thought there could only be two extremes, but that smells like three extremes. But which is the most likely? Well, I don't think they're going to have that collapse because of,
Okay.
as you mentioned, with the wild card in there.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard for that to
Mhm.
happen. I mean, I could see them losing the division. It's possible, although I don't know who
Mhm.
you really fear. Like, who do you fear more, the Yankees or the Red Sox? They're both kind
Mm.
of as well.
Yeah.
What was the middle one?
Shapiro Atkins
Oh,
continue their no playoff win streak.
well, I
I'd
guess
say
if
it's
there's
that one.
yeah, if there's one that's more likely than yeah, that would be the one.
That
World
really?
Series is also a possibility, but I don't
Yeah.
know if you can beat the National League, and I don't think there's enough pitching depth to win 3 series and to get to the World Series. It's possible.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
and
Okay.
if they are to slip into if they get a bye,
Right.
then they got a better chance because you
And
got a
they
best of five. Surely you're going to win one of those.
and they have
But
a good chance to
if,
get a bye.
yeah, but if you don't, 2 out of 3.
I
We've seen
know.
how that works with this
Yeah.
team.
And you could be facing Boston or New York.
Yeah, so I'll go with door number 2 on that one, Clark. That's a good question, though. I like that.
Thank you. Thank you.
That is a good question, and I agree. I think it's door number 2, but people are crossing their fingers that it's door number 3. Obviously,
Right.
before we let you go, Rob, there's been a lot of chatter. It's cooled down a little bit recently with the playoff races front and center, but it's been a big topic since stories about this were coming out. And it was just leading up to the All-Star break, and Rob Manfred was making his rounds, visiting all 30 teams and talking to players. And there's a now infamous story about an exchange between him and Bryce Harper of the Phillies when the subject, when he was visiting Philly, of salary cap came up. And it was alleged that Bryce Harper got in the commissioner's face and told him in no uncertain terms to, well, you can imagine what Bryce Harper said to him. But on that note, it sparked a lot of conversation about the potential future implementation of a salary cap in baseball. Now, I'm not going to ask you just straight up, will there ever be a salary cap? I mean, because we said no in the NHL and it showed up. We said no in the NFL, it showed up. And I mean, even when you look at European soccer, there's not a cap, but they implemented a salary restrictive system. So I'll ask you this instead. In the next 10 years, what percentage would you put on a salary cap as we know it here in North America being instituted in Major League Baseball? Give me a percentage of the next 10 years that we see one.
I could see, I'd go as high as 70%.
Yeah?
And yeah, and
Why do you say that?
well, I think it's just because the way free agency has gone now, like it's just spinning out of control with the money that's been paid the last couple of seasons.
Would you say that really it kind of boils down to the billionaires always win?
The billionaires always win,
Yeah.
right? And the bottomless pit billionaires always win. And
Mm.
it's kind of always been that way in baseball. Like everyone likes to think of George Steinbrenner and the Yankees, but now the Dodgers are the modern day Yankees, and the Yankees are still the Yankees, and Rogers is still is trying to spend with the big boys on with the Blue Jays, and you just wonder like what's the end game there? How can this continue to go? And then you have the problem of uh, the haves and the have-nots, or the willing to spend and those not willing to spend. I mean, like the Pittsburgh situation is just pathetic. Now that's an ownership thing. They've refused to spend for 20 years, and such a great stadium, such a great sports town, and such a crappy
Mm.
just. And you
Hmm.
wonder if that's going to be, well, it is bad for baseball. It's bad for the sport for sure, but you wonder what the consequences of that are eventually. Now, the problem, of course, is if they ever get to the point where they can implement some sort of variation of a salary cap, we're probably going to have the longest work stoppage in the history of North American sport, right? Because it would take you might lose a full season to get to that point. So, is that too much? Like, would one side wear down at some point to avoid that happening, or is Manfred, like, does Manfred have that mandate from ownership to try to make this happen? And if he does, he has to tell every owner in baseball that you may lose a year of revenue, because that's what it's going to take to make it happen, I think. And you don't even want to think about it, because it would be so volatile for a sport that's like the labor relations between the union and MLB has never been very strong. Like any sport, I guess, but um, it's like a non-starter for players. We've never had a salary cap. We're not going to have one now. Screw off. And it'll be interesting to see when push comes to shove, if it does, how that unfolds.
Yeah, you're certainly right. I mean, NHL fans shuddering, remembering the full work style. They're
Yeah.
still the only major sports league to ever lose a full year, and I agree with you though.
We
If
got
it
to
comes to that,
we got to
like
let Rob get, like, the balls are flying. There's another home
100%,
run.
balls are flying. We got to let
Yeah.
him go. Rob
Yeah.
Longley, our friend of the
He's
Toronto
like
Sun. You can
5 home
follow
runs in
him.
this game.
Yeah.
I know it's crazy. You
I'm
can
glad
follow him,
Clarkey's
Longley
watching over
Sun
my
Sport.
shoulder, though.
Yeah, I'm glad you
Yeah,
have it on. It's good.
it's nice for Clarkey to kind
That's
of
right.
keep tabs on this.
Yeah.
Longley Sun Sport, the very best. We love having him on. Thanks for joining us on our new home on Rogers here. Rob Longley, our friend. Thank you so much, sir.
No problem. So unless it's door number one, we'll do a playoff preview. But if they blow the
100%.
lead, if they blow the lead and there's no playoffs, then we won't do it. But
We'll see you next
They're going to make
year.
the playoffs.
Yeah,
We'll
door number
see you
one's not going to
next
happen.
year.
No,
Yes,
it's not gonna
exactly.
No.
Rob
We'll
Longley,
talk.
ladies and
We'll
gentlemen.
talk again,
All
fellas.
right.
Thanks, buddy.
We will take a quick break, come back, and Clarkey and I will jump on a couple other big stories that we missed during our hiatus. Maybe we'll have a little chat here. Coming up next on Instigating with Clarkey and Drury. Welcome back. Instigating with Clarkey and Drury, back on the rails on our new home here on Rogers TV. Very pleased to be joining the Rogers family. Yes, here we are. New look, who dis? And speaking of the new look, thank you very much to one Amanda Clark hooking us up again. The graphics master. We got to give her credit here, okay? I know she'd be upset. She knows how to find me. She would be upset if I did not comment first show back on the new look.
There you go.
It's very crisp. We love it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Amanda. All right.
Yeah.
Let's
Wouldn't
talk
want to take
about...
credit for anything if Amanda did it.
No, of course.
Right.
Well, would you? Did you do it?
Let's move on.
I want to talk about obviously a massive story, and that is of course
Taylor Swift.
Yeah, Taylor Swift, man. Just when people thought they couldn't get enough, boy, it's gonna be another level. And I'm interested. Okay, I very rarely, I'll say this, like very rarely do we see like a true like cultural touch point that people like remember like when it happened.
Is this where you were going, by the way?
What do you mean?
Like, was it Taylor Swift and Kelce you were going to talk about?
100%.
Because I didn't know, and I thought, I'm just going to throw that out there. Okay.
No, well, you're Clarkey. That's why we're co-hosts. You're on the pulse.
We're on the same
You're
page.
on the pulse. Yeah,
that's right. Okay.
We're on the same page.
Yeah.
And man, oh man, I have seen like the memes are flying. It's incredible. I thought it was wild when she went on the Brothers podcast and YouTube crashed because so many people were trying to log on and watch it. Like she moves the media needle
and dropping hints about playing the Super Bowl with her little eggs.
Yeah,
they're called eggs.
Yeah, and now people are kind of starting to get the conspiracy wheel rolling again. The Chiefs got to go back to the Super Bowl. I don't want to see it, but okay. Yeah. I got Lions Bills, by the way.
Lions Bills. Wow.
Lions Bills, brother.
Highway. What's the Detroit Buffalo highway? There's got to be a highway if that joins the two together. That'll be
I don't know, dude. I'm not up on my highway geography in the
United
States.
I'm going to Google that while you talk.
Yeah, and I think that would be good. But back to Swifty and Mr. Kelce here. Really unreal stuff. I mean, remember, I think it was last year, there was a betting line available on sports books about the date that they were going to break up. And now we got some crazy stuff. And now you can bet on the date of their wedding. You can bet on all this. It's really crazy. People will bet on anything. It's just sickness. I'll be honest. It's
got a ring before the Bills did, right?
She got a ring before the Bills did. And I don't know why you're doing that. What is your hate on for the Buffalo Bills?
I am going next week. I want you to know. I'm going to tell you what NFL team I'll be cheering for this year.
Wow, you're jumping. Okay, wow. So this is a big deal.
It is a big deal.
You sucked me into CFL fandom with our boatmen.
Yeah,
right?
And you pick the Cubs. Like you pick a different baseball team all the time. You athletics. Now
well,
you're
I didn't do
guy.
that.
Well,
I didn't do that, did I? Right? Because I said that I would switch if they moved them because I hate John Fisher.
Okay, well, whatever. You picked a new team. So I'm going to pick an NFL team. And I will let you know.
For the first time.
Are you still the Patriots guy?
Dude, I will forever. I'll die a very happy Patriots fan.
So I'm going to tell you next week.
I can't wait. And what I feel like you're going to do is pick an adversary of the Patriots, which I'll just say braggadociously
I can tell you right now.
Basically be any team.
I can tell you right now. It will not be the Buffalo Bills.
Okay, so yeah.
That I can tell you.
Can't now because
you're
hating
could be
on
any
them.
other team. So there you go.
Anyway,
I-90 is the road that goes from Buffalo just
right.
south of Detroit. You got to take like Toledo and up. But anyway,
It would be a crazy thing for sure, and
Oh, it
and
would
I
be.
don't think the NFL would be thrilled with that. However, I mean it's the
I don't
NFL. The
know.
ratings are going to be great regardless. Like
Yeah.
no one's going to care. It's just not two quote unquote premier TV markets. Okay.
No, it's
Um,
not.
However, they'll draw a lot of Canadian fans. There are a lot of Buffalo Bills
But
fans up
again,
here,
they don't
not including
care. The
Clarkey.
NFL doesn't care
No,
about
I
that.
know they don't care about
Not
Canadian
at all.
ratings. I know that, but.
Yeah.
What I will say, just regarding the Kelsey Swift thing, we are in for a media blitz like we have never seen. This is going to be dominating like storyline, and it's incredible. Just all the memes that are already coming out. It really is something, man. You'll someday, Clarkey, you'll tell more of your grandkids about where you were when the announcement dropped, won't you? It's a cultural touchstone moment.
There you
It's
go.
very crazy. How about that?
When was it? Yesterday?
I think it was 2 days ago. So we've
I
already
don't even
forgotten.
remember where I was 2 days later.
Yeah. Well, I remember where I was because
I
I
was in
want to
Detroit.
touch on another cultural touchstone
Okay.
moment here. And you
Go.
teased me earlier about it. And yes, new viewers to this program are going to be like, what is this idiot doing with the John Lennon glasses, the Oasis bucket hat, the Oasis t-shirt? What's happening over there? You know this, Clarkey. I am the biggest Oasis fan maybe on the planet. I don't know. There's some people that could give me a run. I love the band. They came back. They announced it last year. I know that
Yeah.
we talked about it on the show.
Yeah.
Very exciting. I went to the show. I went to night one in Toronto.
Was that raining that night or?
It rained.
Yeah.
The first North American gig in 16 years.
Wow.
I can't describe how incredible it was. What a magical experience. And it was magical despite the venue it was held in.
Careful.
What's going on?
Nothing.
Well, okay, careful. Well, I'm just saying Live Nation owns it. Okay.
Yeah.
I know that there's a company that has their namesake on it.
Yeah.
Who we're very appreciative of.
We are. That's what I'm
You
saying.
know?
Yeah. Rogers Stadium.
But Live
That's
Nation,
what it's called, right?
Yes, it is. And Live Nation's not a company I respect. And so I would just like to say, I'll say this, though. This will make the corporate fat cats happy, okay? Despite some of this, like anything on the internet, it gets blown out of proportion, despite the horror stories. And I wasn't at the first couple shows. I
heard were horror stories, especially getting out.
It wasn't as bad as people made it out to be.
But how was getting there and getting back?
Now, again, I feel like I'm the wrong person to ask because I was smart with my friends and we rented a party bus organized by our guy, Jeremy.
Okay.
Jeremy, thank you. How about that? Liz and Jeremy organizing it.
Okay.
And we had no problem because our driver was very clever. He knew a nice little lot to go to, which was right next to the gate entrance. And we walked in. Now, it was a walk.
How much that cost you?
The bus?
Yeah.
I'd rather not say. It actually wasn't that expensive, to be perfectly honest.
But like from Listowel?
From Ingersoll. We started at their house. We gathered and yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
It was $1,500. It was $1,500.
Divided by how many guys? 6 people?
Like 10 or
Your
11
mom
of us.
was there.
Whatever it was. Mom, Janice was there.
Yeah.
Janice was there. It was an unbelievable night.
Okay.
Yeah. Is the venue perfect? No, it's not. Have I had far worse concert experiences at quote unquote nicer venues? Yes, I have. But the show itself, which is really what matters, indescribably incredible. A transcendent moment that all of us will never forget. Just an amazing atmosphere. No one was, being an idiot. Everybody was having their lagers. Of course, it's an Oasis show. You got to drop a couple Guinness. How about that? an incredibly communal experience, man. I'm sure it was much like how you felt when you first went to see Lionel. Just a bunch of people there for the same reason, and exacerbated by the long wait. These guys disappeared. No one thought this was even possible. What an incredible experience. It rained. Yes, we were there night one. It opened up. It didn't pour, but it was consistent rain. And it was great. It started raining right when they played Live Forever too. It was like a meant to be type thing. And everybody was just soaking wet, enjoying it. It was a great time. Is the venue perfect? No, but also
it sounded good though. That's the only important thing to me.
Sounded psychotic.
There you go.
So
who cares what the venue's like if it sounds good?
Well,
right?
I always joked like I would watch them in a mud puddle.
Well, I saw Elton John or Billy Joel. No, it was both of them at the Sky Dome back in the 80s, and it was awful. The sound was awful. And when you go to a concert, you sort of want it to sound good.
That venue does not lend itself well acoustically, and I'm not going to break down why.
No,
it doesn't lend itself acoustically
because there's a roof. That's right.
Concerts.
They've tried to make it better in there, and they have made it better. But it wasn't good.
I'm sure it's better than it sounded in 1992 or whatever.
Yeah. Do you know my first Lionel Richie concert was 1987, nearly 40 years ago.
Incredible stuff. And what is your count at now? 16?
No, I think it's 18.
18, brother. Jeez, like that's incredible. Well, I got one down that I needed.
There you go.
With my boys.
Yeah.
God bless the Gallagher brothers. Thank you for just
they made it too. I predicted to you that day that they announced it that they might not make it, but they did.
And I was upset with you for trying to rain on my parade. Yeah, twist the knife. They're getting along great. Came out hand in hand, big hug at the end.
Beautiful.
Oh, they were joking around with each other. It was
well, they should. They probably counted their money before they got left the stage.
I hope they did.
Yeah,
I hope they did.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah, Noel's gotta fund the divorce, brother. I want to say as well, we've mentioned it a couple times. New home here on Rogers. I've been informed that our Owen Sound area viewers in the Bay region there.
Yep.
This show, you're going to be finding us Friday nights at 6, leading right into Attack Hockey with my friend Mark McKelvey.
We'll be getting Mark on, hopefully.
Mark will come on, my friend JC Coots, who's now going to be the new color guy.
There you go.
Adrian Musso moving on. Great dude. JC moving from the host role up into the booth with Mark.
Okay. As color guy?
Will be, absolutely. Okay. Yes. Good. And the great Mark McKelvey still rocking your play-by-play, and you'll hear him on the road on the radio as usual. Yeah. How about that?
You were in Guelph today.
I was in Guelph on Tuesday, taking in training camp. I'm ready.
I'm impressed.
It's the first that I have stepped foot in a rink since the season ended for me in May with our Hanover Barons coverage, of course, on CKNX. It was nice to be back in the rink. Good to see everybody. The players remembered who I was, so that was positive.
Good. Yeah.
It's nice to be back in the rink, man. Hockey around the corner here.
I can't wait. Now the NHL is talking about moving the season to start in September. When people go back to school,
please.
Training camp should start the day after Labor Day when everyone goes back to school. Why do we have to wait 3 weeks to start training camp? We're ready for hockey.
Yeah, October 7th.
Which I think NHL is actually earlier than last year.
Barely. I think last year was October 12th or something, or the 10th.
Yeah. Let's move it up, please. Let's move it up. No more hockey in July.
Guelph Storm season opener, September 19th.
Perfect.
Let's go.
Perfect. Let's play 3 exhibition games tops and get on with life.
2. Shrink it down to 2.
Yeah, I can.
We got 84 game season now. Like preseason. No.
They gotta get that under control.
It'll be fun though. It's exciting. Hockey in the air.
Yeah,
we're back on the air. New home with Rogers. By the way, we're gonna be aired in the Kitchener market the
Yeah.
London market. We'll get the consistent
Knights.
times nailed down for you. Hell, hold on just a sec. There.
It's my team, man.
Don't say stuff like that to me.
Well, I'm
we just got back
London.
on the
I live
air.
close
You want
to
to be like
London.
the Gallagher?
I went to a
the
Knights
Gallagher
game last
brothers
year
and stop?
with our buddy.
Yeah, I knew you went. And they had a tremendous season.
Scott Bridge.
Yes, they had a great season. Just you're going to bug a lot of other OHL fans by saying
Bridgie is in. Where is he? Fergus? No,
he's with Mount Forest.
Mount Forest.
Mount Forest Patriots.
Yeah, my son-in-law Ryan Duck is now assistant GM in Mitchell.
Yes, the Mitchell Hawks. Hello,
yeah. So
Ducky will get them back on track.
Junior C talk as well as OHL.
Yes, we'll be covering local leagues still. We'll be having on great guests. We'll be having on national guests. It'll be great. CFL season cruising right through our boatman. We'll get Hoagie back on here, Mr. Hogan.
You
never know.
Boatman.
The boatmen have it's trying
but it's
times.
the CFL. Make the playoffs, and anything can happen.
You're absolutely right, brother. And anything can happen on this show, which we appreciate you continuing to watch. Our returning fans, our new fans. Remember, you can still find this on all your favorite podcast apps, including Spotify and Apple. How about that? We're still on there. You can still follow us on all our social media. We didn't go anywhere. At Instigating Pod. We are back and active, and you'll be able to find this across your Rogers Community Television channels. We're very, very excited. Instigating with Clarkey and Drury is back, and we will be back next week.
Adios.
Let's fly forever.